Right. I'm off to deal with the fate of the planet. Be gentle with them.
Oh, you know me, Mark. Kid gloves, but made from real kids.
Sorry for last week, but I really didn't have anything to talk about. This changes with today, because now we're gonna talk about Hush. To be specifically, Batman Hush. I watched the animated film of the comic book storyline, and the comic book was originally done by Jeff Loeb, and the artists that worked on most famously is Jim Lee, but there were also, he did the penciling and other people worked on with the coloring and inking, but Jim Lee is like the main artist. And if you watch the film, you will notice there are several changes. For example, it doesn't feature really Jim Lee's beautiful art, and the reason why Hush, the Batman Hush movie is even so, the Batman Hush storyline, is so important because it introduced a couple of neat concepts. For example, Hush himself as a new villain, although in the comic it is quite obvious who's supposed to be Hush. There was some editorial behind it that made them ultimately choose Thomas Elliot. In the comics, in the film, it's a different person. I read somewhere that the Riddler was supposed to be Hush, but due to editorial saying no or something like that, something happened with the storyline where Jeff Loeb basically couldn't use the Riddler to be his big villain. Still, Riddler is both in a comic and of course the film adaptation, a big villain of that storyline. But the film makes several changes to the source material, and that is, for example, in the comic it's Killer Croc who kidnaps the child at the beginning of the film, at the beginning of the story. Then Clayface takes the form of Riddler, imprisoned at Arkham Asylum instead of Jason Todd. And fun fact, Batman Hush kind of placed the idea in people's head of Jason Todd making a comeback, because not long after Batman Hush was published they created Batman Under the Red Hood, that storyline that actually did bring back Jason Todd. And for a while it was confusing because some sources said this was actually Jason Todd standing on this by the tombstone, and then other sources said no, it's just Clayface pretending to be Jason Todd, and that was further complicated when the actual Under the Red Hood storyline came out, because then people knew Jason Todd is kind of alive again, and the question was made murkier of who was really standing there at the graveyard. But enough of that. And the final change that I would talk about already is that instead of Thomas Elliot being Hush, like in the comics, it's the Riddler who orchestrated the whole plot. Now, regarding the film story, the Riddler isn't really that much in the film. It more so focuses on Batman and Catwoman and their relationship. Basically, it's a highlight run, so to speak, of their different standpoints, and I liked it. I like them always together. It's a good pairing, in my opinion, and also do like Helena Wayne, their daughter, in the comics and some TV adaptations, like Helena Moore and Damian Wayne, who's sadly also in the film, and I don't think he was at this point in. And I don't think he was actually in a comic book, but I don't remember quite right. For that, we need to find out, or I would need to find out again when Damien was created. But yeah, at this time, I believe Tim Drake was Robin in the comics. Feel free to correct me in the comments down below. And there's, like I said, the Riddler is hardly part of it. There are different pieces, and in the comics is kind of sloppy because you hear about Hush and then you get introduced to Thomas Elliot, and you're kind of sure that Thomas Elliot is there because of all the flashbacks to his and Bruce's childhood, and that's all stuff that you never had seen before that point, really, because, well, Thomas Elliot was introduced in Hush, whatever, and here in the film it's kind of put on a side burner. Like I said, there's a huge section of the film just dedicated to showing the relationship of Batman and Catwoman, and Hush is introduced. There's some plot elements, a fight with Superman, that kind of stuff, the fight with Bane, and then Catwoman Batman relationship, and Hush is kind of put on a back burner and then comes back. Overall, I liked it. It's a very much a more streamlined version of the story, of course, made for a movie, so of course there had to be cuts to the source material, but overall it works. The animation looks great in some scenes, and overall better than anything of the Tomorrowverse. This is really from not exactly the golden age of DC animated films, but definitely kind of the silver age, where you could at least expect that the Batman animated films will be good, while the rest is of questionable credibility. And there's also an interesting side fact, which I kind of think is funny, is that the film features both Peyton List actresses. So there are two actresses called Peyton List, and one is known for a bunch of CW stuff, and the other one has done Disney stuff in the past. And somehow, there's a Actors Guild, and they make sure normally that two people don't use the same name, but for some reason there was an oversight, and it's kind of funny that they both worked in a film of this, although they voice different characters. And there's also a side story where they were staying in the same hotel, and the wrong deliveries were constantly made to the wrong Peyton. Just fun stuff that I wanted to mention. Overall, Jason O'Mara is probably not my favorite version of Batman Bruce Wayne. Obviously, that goes to who. There's no argument in there, but the voice performances are all pretty fine, and even the cameos are kind of good. Jerry O'Connell, I have seen him multiple times as Superman, voicing him as Superman. The only thing that I really didn't like was the Joker. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because I was playing through Arkham Knight recently, And trust me, I used to love the Joker side tangent here again. Sorry. I really used to love the Joker, but he's been featured in everything, and even in Arkham Knight, where he's canonically dead, he just won't stop buggering the players with constant voice lines. And I only have access to the German version, so I'm not gonna shame Mark Hamill here, but it just gets annoying. And while there were some entertaining lines, both in the Batman Hush film and Arkham Knight video game, again, still side tangent, I kind of feel like Batman nowadays, in which I just want the Joker to shut up, and in a film about, that's not even about him, you know. Can we just leave him out? I would hope so, because he has this tendency to just take away the attention. And even in the Batman Hush comic, I know he appears, and there's this very famous graphic of him like being crouched on a trash can or something like that. Maybe I can find the picture, like hunched over with a gun in her hand. Looks great, but this is something appreciative of, of the Batman Hush comic, that the Joker wasn't featured all that much, and here he comes often across as kind of an clingy ex-girlfriend. I don't know. Maybe it's lines that were written for this interpretation of the Joker. It certainly wasn't my favorite. And yeah, if you have any more suggestions of films, I'm planning on watching the animated Watchmen film and give you my thoughts about it soon. I don't know how soon. But yeah, we're gonna see us in next week, and have a good day.
Well, the books are full of words that you read, and the show gets me paid.